My uncle paid our mom to give us to him so he could do whatever he wanted. After she passed, he refused to let us go. When Mom got sick with cancer 3 years ago, Uncle Ray showed up at our apartment with a briefcase full of cash. I was 15, my brother Luke was 13, and we were scared about what would happen to us if Mom didn't get better. Ray said he wanted to help take care of us while Mom focused on treatment. He'd pay for everything, and we could live at his farm outside town. Mom seemed relieved when she signed the papers he brought, saying it was temporary guardianship until she recovered. But Mom never recovered. She died 8 months later, and when Luke and I asked Ray when we could go back to our old life, he just smiled and said we were family now. He had legal custody and we belonged with him. The farm was isolated, 20 miles from the nearest neighbor. Ray homeschooled us, which meant we never left the property or saw other kids our age. He said public school would corrupt us, and we were better off learning practical skills on the farm. Those practical skills meant working from sunrise to sunset, feeding animals, harvesting crops, maintaining equipment, canning vegetables. Ray called it character building, but Luke and I were exhausted every single day. When I complained my hands were raw from work, Ray said city kids needed to toughen up. We weren't allowed to have phones or use the internet. Ray said technology was poison for young minds. When I asked about calling our Aunt Sarah, Mom's sister who lived 2 states away, Ray said she didn't want anything to do with us anymore. But something felt wrong about that. Aunt Sarah had always been close to Mom and loved Luke and me. She'd sent birthday cards every year until we moved to the farm. I started to wonder if she even knew where we were. Ray had weird rules that didn't make sense. We couldn't go to the mailbox. We couldn't answer the phone when it rang. If anyone came to the house, we had to hide in the root cellar until they left. He said strangers meant trouble for our family. Last month, I found mail hidden in Ray's desk drawer while cleaning his office. Letters addressed to Luke and me from Aunt Sarah, dozens of them, all unopened. She'd been writing to us for 2 years, begging Ray to let her visit or at least call us. One letter mentioned hiring a lawyer to challenge Ray's custody. Another talked about social services investigating our living situation. Ray had been hiding everything from us and apparently lying to authorities about our well-being. I started paying closer attention to Ray's phone conversations. He'd step outside when certain people called, but I could hear fragments through the window. He talked about income streams and maintaining the arrangement and keeping them productive. Then I overheard him talking to someone about selling this year's harvest for $30,000, but we'd grown way more crops than a family of 3 could possibly eat. Industrial-scale vegetables, herbs, and fruits that filled multiple barns. Luke and I had been working like farmhands, but Ray was selling everything we produced. Yesterday, I found Ray's filing cabinet unlocked and discovered government documents I didn't understand. Disability payments, Social Security, survivor benefits, agricultural subsidies, and tax credits, all connected to Luke and me, being his dependents. Thousands of dollars every month coming in because of us. There were also contracts with local restaurants and grocery stores. Ray had been selling our labor as organic, family farm produce for premium prices. We'd been working for free while he collected all the profits from our work and government benefits from keeping us. When Luke and I tried to leave this morning to walk to town, Ray blocked the driveway with his truck, and that's when I realized exactly what we'd become to him. Ray stares at us from the end of the driveway, his truck blocking our only escape route. His face is twisted with anger, but there's something else in his expression. Calculation. You two think you can just walk off with my property? His voice carries across the yard. That's theft. I can call the police right now. How do you think that'll look? 2 ungrateful teenagers stealing from their legal guardian who's given them everything? Luke's hand finds mine, squeezing tight. We both know what everything means. Endless work, isolation, exploitation. Get back in the house, Ray commands. Now. We retreat, defeated. Ray follows us inside, slamming the door behind him. He paces the kitchen, running his hand through his thinning hair. I took you in when nobody wanted you, he says. Fed you, clothed you, taught you valuable skills, and this is how you repay me? I say nothing. Luke stares at the floor. Ray finally stops pacing and points upstairs. Go to your rooms. I'll deal with you later. Once upstairs, Luke slips into my room, his face pale but determined. He sits on my bed, voice barely above a whisper. We need evidence, he says. Everything you found. The letters, the financial stuff. We need to hide copies somewhere he won't find them. I nod. If we can prove what he's doing. Exactly, but we need to be careful. Over the next week, we create hiding places throughout the house. I pry up a loose floorboard beneath my bed and hide Sarah's letters there. Luke hollows out a space in his mattress for copies of the financial documents I found. We work silently, methodically, always listening for Ray's footsteps. During the day, we continue our usual chores, pretending nothing has changed. But now I'm documenting everything. How many hours we work, what we harvest, where it goes. I find an old notebook and keep it hidden in the chicken coop, updating it whenever I collect eggs. Harvested 300 pounds of tomatoes today. I write. Ray loaded them into his truck at sunset, said he was taking them to town for processing. Luke and I worked from 5 a.m. to 8 p.m. 2 weeks after our failed escape attempt, Ray catches me in his office. I'm trying to photograph some documents with an old disposable camera I found in the barn when the door swings open. Ray's eyes narrow when he sees me near his filing cabinet. "What are you doing in here?" he demands. "Just cleaning," I say, hiding the camera behind my back. "You asked me to dust in here, remember?" He doesn't believe me. That night, we hear him installing new locks on his office door and the filing cabinet. The next day, he's watching us more closely, assigning us tasks that keep us separated for most of the day. "Luke, you're harvesting corn tonight," he announces at dinner. "The restaurant order needs to go out tomorrow morning." "Tonight?" Luke asks. "But it's supposed to rain." "Corn doesn't harvest itself," Ray says flatly. "You'll work until it's done." I try to intervene. I can help him. "We'll finish faster." "No," Ray cuts me off. "You're canning tomatoes. All of them. I don't care how late you stay up." We exchange glances across the table. Ray is punishing us by keeping us apart. I work in the kitchen until midnight, my hands raw from the acidic tomatoes. Through the window, I can see the beam of Luke's flashlight moving through the cornfield, row by row in the darkness. Around 2 a.m., I hear shouting from outside. I run to the window and see Luke stumbling toward the house, clutching his arm. Ray follows behind him, carrying the filled corn baskets. "I told you to be careful," Ray yells. "Now, look what you've done." When they come inside, Luke's face is white with pain. His left arm hangs at an unnatural angle, clearly broken. He must have fallen in the dark, slippery field. "We need to take him to the hospital," I say immediately. Ray shakes his head. "No hospitals. They ask too many questions." "His arm is broken. I've seen broken bones before. We'll set it ourselves." I stand between Ray and my brother. "He needs a doctor, x-rays, proper treatment." "And who's going to pay for that?" Ray demands. "You think medical care is free? Besides, how do you think it'll look when they ask how it happened? Working in a cornfield at 2 a.m.? They'll start investigating." "That's exactly what we want." But I can see Ray won't budge. Luke's in too much pain to argue. "There's a first aid book in the living room," Ray says. "Your grandfather was a medic in Vietnam. Figure it out." I spend the rest of the night setting Luke's arm as best I can, following diagrams in a yellowed field medicine book. Luke bites down on a folded washcloth to keep from screaming as I straighten the bone and create a makeshift splint from pieces of wood and torn sheets. "I'm sorry," I whisper as I work, tears streaming down my face. "I'm so sorry." Luke manages a weak smile through his pain. "Not your fault, but we need to get out of here, soon." Ray watches us from the doorway, arms crossed. When I'm finished, he nods once, seemingly satisfied with my work. "He can rest tomorrow," Ray announces, like he's being generous, "but he'll need to start back on light duties the day after." That night, after Luke finally falls into an exhausted sleep, I hear Ray dragging something heavy across the living room floor. Peeking downstairs, I see him arranging his recliner in front of the door. He sits down with a shotgun across his lap. He's not just keeping us in anymore, he's guarding us like prisoners. As I creep back upstairs, I realize we need a new plan. Ray knows we want to leave, and he's not going to make it easy, but he's also made a critical mistake. By refusing to take Luke to the hospital, he's given us something even more damning than financial documents: proof of medical neglect. I slip into Luke's room and sit beside his bed, watching him sleep fitfully. "We're going to get out," I whisper, though I know he can't hear me. "I promise." 2 weeks after Luke's injury, I'm in the barn doing the morning milking when I notice something unusual tucked behind a stack of feed bags. It's partially covered with an old tarp, but I can see metal edges peeking out. Glancing over my shoulder to make sure Ray isn't around, I pull back the tarp. It's a radio. An actual, functioning radio. Not some ancient transistor model, but a decent shortwave with dials, switches, and what looks like weather band capabilities. My heart races as I run my fingers over it. This is the first piece of technology connecting to the outside world that I've seen in 3 years. I want to turn it on immediately, but I know better. Ray could walk in any moment. Instead, I carefully cover it back up and finish milking, my mind racing with possibilities. That night, I whisper to Luke about my discovery while changing his splint. His arm is healing poorly, the swelling hasn't gone down, and the skin has taken on a yellowish tinge that worries me. "A radio?" His eyes widen. "Does it work?" "I think so, but I haven't had a chance to try it." Luke sits up straighter, wincing at the movement. "We need to figure out how to use it when Ray's not around." "He's always around," I remind him. "Not always. He spends an hour every afternoon checking the irrigation system on the south field. If one of us could distract him while the other—" "I'll distract him," I interrupt. "Your arm needs rest." The next day, I deliberately break the handle on one of the irrigation pumps, while Ray isn't looking. When afternoon comes, I approach him nervously. "Ray, I think something's wrong with the south pump. The pressure keeps dropping." He curses under his breath. "Show me." I lead him to the farthest corner of the property, pointing out imaginary problems, asking questions that require lengthy explanations. Meanwhile, Luke slips into the barn. When we return an hour later, Luke is back in the house, looking innocent as he peels potatoes one-handed for dinner. That night, he whispers to me that he got the radio working and found the weather station. "There's a storm system coming," he says. "A big one. They're calling it potentially historic." For the next 3 days, we take turns creating distractions so the other can sneak into the barn and check the radio. The weather reports grow increasingly urgent. A massive storm front is heading straight for us, with predictions of high winds, torrential rain, and potential flooding. Ray seems oblivious, focused only on getting as much harvesting done as possible before any rain arrives. He works us harder than ever, dismissing my concerns about the darkening skies. "It's just a summer storm," he insists. "We've got crops to get in." The storm hits just after midnight. I'm awakened by a crash so loud it feels like the house itself is being torn apart. Luke appears in my doorway, clutching his injured arm. "The roof!" he shouts over the howling wind. "Part of it's gone!" We hurry downstairs to find Ray frantically moving buckets to catch the water pouring in through a gaping hole in the living room ceiling. Rain lashes through the opening, soaking everything. "Don't just stand there," Ray yells when he sees us. "Help me!" For the next hour, we work to contain the damage, moving furniture, laying down towels, emptying buckets as they fill. The wind screams around the house like a living thing trying to get in. Then we hear another crash from outside. "The barn!" Ray shouts, his face pale. "The animals!" He grabs his raincoat and a flashlight. "Stay here. Keep emptying these buckets." The moment the door slams behind him, Luke grabs my arm. "This is our chance," he whispers urgently. "His office? We need to look now." But he could come back any minute. He won't leave the animals in this storm. We might not get another opportunity. I hesitate for only a second before following Luke to Ray's office. The new lock on the door is sturdy, but in his panic, Ray left his key ring on the kitchen counter. We try 3 keys before finding the right one. Inside, rain is leaking through one corner of the ceiling, dripping onto Ray's desk. I quickly move to the filing cabinet while Luke searches the desk drawers. "Look for anything about Mom," I tell him, "or Aunt Sarah, or money." The filing cabinet is locked, but I find the key taped to the underside of the top drawer. Ray's not as clever as he thinks. Inside, I find folders organized by year. I pull out the one marked 3 years ago, when Mom got sick. Lightning flashes, illuminating the room as I open the folder. Inside is a stack of papers, and right on top, a document that makes my blood run cold. It's a contract, signed by my mother and Ray, dated 2 weeks before she died. "Luke," I whisper, "look at this." The contract states that in exchange for $50,000 paid in cash, my mother transferred full guardianship of her children to Raymond Mercer until they reach the age of 18. There's a clause specifying that the arrangement is permanent and cannot be contested by other family members. $50,000. Luke breathes. "He bought us. Mom was desperate for money for treatment," I say, feeling sick. "She must have thought this was temporary, that she'd get better, but she didn't." Luke's voice is flat, "And now we're his property." While I continue searching the filing cabinet, Luke moves to the large desk. He's pulling out drawers when suddenly I hear him intake a sharp breath. "What is it?" I ask. "The floorboard under his desk. It's loose." Luke kneels down, wincing as he jostles his injured arm. He pries up the board with his good hand and reaches inside. "Keys," he says, pulling out a small ring. "And I think these are to his truck." My heart pounds. "We need to copy everything we can," I say, pulling out my phone. The one piece of technology Ray doesn't know I have. An old flip phone with a dead battery I've been saving for emergencies. Suddenly, a beam of light sweeps across the window. Ray is coming back. "He's coming!" I hiss, shoving papers back into folders. We frantically return everything to its place. Luke drops the keys back under the floorboard and replaces the board. I lock the filing cabinet and wipe away our fingerprints with my sleeve. We're halfway to the door when we hear Ray's boots on the porch. There's no time to get back to the living room. "Quick," I whisper, "upstairs." We race up the steps and dive into our beds just as the front door bangs open. I pull the covers over my head, heart hammering so loudly I'm sure Ray will hear it. Luke's room is across the hall. I pray he made it in time. Heavy footsteps move through the house, checking the buckets, then slowly climbing the stairs. I close my eyes and try to make my breathing slow, and even as Ray pauses outside my door, the doorknob turns, and light from his flashlight sweeps across my face. I keep my eyes shut, feigning sleep. After what feels like an eternity, the door closes again. I hear him check on Luke, then return downstairs. Only when the storm swallows the sound of his movements do I allow myself to breathe normally again. We've found what we needed, proof of what Ray did, and possibly a way out. Now we just need to survive long enough to use it. The storm leaves behind a mess of biblical proportions. Water has seeped through every crack in the farmhouse. The living room ceiling still gapes open to the sky, and mud covers everything. But the roads are the worst, flooded in places, washed out in others. The telephone lines are down too, hanging limply between broken poles along the main road. We're completely cut off. Ray paces the kitchen, agitated. We need supplies. Tarps for the roof, more buckets, nails. He looks out the window at the devastation. I'll have to make a run into town. Luke and I exchange a glance. This could be our chance. I should stay here, Luke says, cradling his injured arm. I'll just slow you down. Ray eyes him suspiciously. Your arm bothering you more today? Luke nods, his face pale. It's not entirely an act. His arm has gotten worse. The skin around the makeshift splint has turned an angry red, with dark streaks beginning to creep up toward his shoulder. I'm terrified it's infected. Fine, Ray finally agrees. You stay and start cleaning up this mess. After Ray leaves, we wait 5 minutes to make sure he doesn't return for something forgotten. Then we spring into action. How long do we really have? Luke asks, suddenly moving much more easily than he did when Ray was watching. 2 hours, maybe less, I say. The bridge at Colton Creek might be washed out. If it is, he'll have to double back and take the county highway. That would buy us another hour. Or he could get stuck completely and be back sooner. Luke counters. We need to move fast. We've planned this moment for days, whispering strategies late at night. I head straight for Ray's office while Luke goes to the barn to check on the tractor, our potential escape vehicle if Ray's truck doesn't return. I use the key we found during the storm to unlock Ray's filing cabinet. Working methodically, I gather everything important. The contract showing he paid our mother $50,000, the financial records proving he's making $30,000 from our labor, the government benefit paperwork, and all of Aunt Sarah's unopened letters. I stuff everything into my backpack, along with the few personal items I can't leave behind. The photo of Mom I keep hidden under my mattress, the bracelet she gave me before she died. When I finish, I run to the barn where Luke is examining the old tractor. It's ancient but functional. Ray uses it for heavy field work when his truck can't manage. Can you get it started? I ask. Luke nods, wiping sweat from his forehead despite the cool air. I think so. Ray keeps the key in that coffee can on the shelf, but I've been watching him start it for years. I look at his arm with concern. Can you drive with that? I'll manage, he says grimly. Beat staying here another day. We work quickly, gathering supplies we might need, water bottles, some food, the first aid kit from the kitchen. I find Ray's emergency cash stash in the cookie jar. Only $200, but better than nothing. Luke suddenly freezes, looking toward the driveway. I strain my ears. There's a distant rumble of an engine. It's too soon, I whisper. He can't be back already. But the sound grows louder. Ray's truck is returning, much earlier than expected. The bridge must be completely out, Luke says. He couldn't get through at all. We have seconds to decide what to do. Running back to the house would look suspicious. Hiding the evidence of our planned escape might be impossible. The tractor, I say. Now. It's our only chance. Luke nods, his face set with determination. He climbs onto the tractor and jams the key into the ignition, while I throw our bags onto the small trailer hitched to the back. The engine sputters, coughs, dies. Luke tries again, pumping something near the pedals. Come on, he mutters. Ray's truck appears at the end of the long driveway, moving fast. I can see his face through the windshield, confusion turning to understanding as he spots us by the tractor. Luke, I shout. The tractor roars to life just as Ray slams on his brakes, sending his truck fishtailing in the mud. He leaps out, face contorted with rage. Stop, he bellows, running toward us. You ungrateful little. Luke throws the tractor into gear. It lurches forward, painfully slow compared to a car. Ray is gaining on us, running through the mud. Go around the side, I yell to Luke. Through the east field. Luke turns the wheel hard, and the tractor veers off the driveway toward the field. I'm running alongside, trying to climb onto the trailer. Ray is only yards behind me now, his hand reaching out to grab my shirt. I feel his fingers brush my back as I leap onto the trailer, nearly falling off the other side. Luke guns the engine, pushing the old machine to its limits. We're bouncing wildly across the uneven ground, heading toward the fence line. The fence! I shout. We can't get through. Luke doesn't slow down. Hold on, he yells back. Ray is still chasing us on foot, but falling behind as the tractor picks up speed. He stops, turns, and starts running back toward his truck. He's going for the truck, I warn. I know, Luke shouts over the engine noise. We need to get to the main road before he can cut us off. The fence is getting closer. It's barbed wire, 3 strands high, meant to keep neighboring cattle from wandering onto Ray's property. Luke aims the tractor directly at it. Brace yourself, he calls. The impact is jarring. The tractor shudders as it hits the fence, the barbed wire stretching, then snapping with a whip-like crack. The posts lean dangerously, but the tractor pushes through, dragging broken wire behind us. Behind us, Ray has reached his truck. The engine roars as he reverses, then spins the vehicle around to follow us. He's coming! I shout. We're in the neighboring field now, bouncing over furrows, the tractor straining with each bump. The main road is visible ahead, about a quarter mile away. We're not going to make it, I say, watching Ray's truck gaining on us rapidly despite the muddy terrain. Luke doesn't answer, just pushes the tractor harder. His face is white with pain. The rough ride is torture on his broken arm, but his jaw is set with determination. Ray's truck is 50 yards behind us now, closing fast. The main road is still too far. Then, something unexpected happens. Ray's truck hits a hidden washout, a place where the floodwaters carved away the ground beneath the seemingly solid surface. The front wheels drop suddenly, and the truck lurches to a stop, front end buried in mud up to the headlights. I can see Ray inside, pounding the steering wheel in fury as he tries to reverse out of the trap, but the wheels just spin, digging deeper into the soft earth. He's stuck! I cry out, hardly believing our luck. Luke doesn't slow down until we reach the main road. The tractor bounces onto the asphalt, its steel wheels clanking loudly. Only then does he turn to look back at Ray, who has abandoned his truck and is running toward us on foot again, still too far away to reach us. We made it, Luke says, his voice shaking with exhaustion and relief. I look at his arm, alarmed by how much worse it looks after the rough ride. We need to get you to a hospital. He nods weakly. Town's about 7 miles that way. He points down the road with his good arm. This thing won't go faster than 15 miles an hour. It'll take a while. I glance back one last time at Ray, now a distant figure standing in the middle of the field, watching us escape. Even from here, I can feel his rage. It doesn't matter how long it takes, I say, turning my back on the farm that's been our prison for 3 years. We're free. We walk for almost an hour before a pickup truck finally stops. The driver, an older man with a weathered face and kind eyes, rolls down his window and looks at us with concern. You kids all right? That's a nasty-looking arm, son. Luke nods weakly. The adrenaline that carried us through our escape is wearing off, and I can tell he's in serious pain. The infection in his arm has spread, the skin angry and swollen around our makeshift splint. We need to get to the police station, I say, my voice steadier than I feel, and a hospital. My brother's arm is infected. The farmer studies us for a moment, then nods and pushes open his passenger door. Hop in. Town's about 6 miles down this road. I help Luke into the middle seat, then climb in beside him. The truck smells of hay and dog hair, but it's the most comforting place I've been in years. I'm Earl, the farmer says as he pulls back onto the road. You two running from something? I hesitate, unsure how much to share. Someone. Our uncle. He's not a good person. Earl nods like this explains everything. Ray Mercer's place? My breath catches. You know him? Know of him. Keeps to himself. Folks in town wonder about those kids he's got working that farm. He glances at us. Guess that's you two. Yes, I say quietly. We're those kids. Earl doesn't ask more questions, just drives a little faster. When we reach town, he takes us straight to the police station, a small brick building with 2 patrol cars parked outside. Want me to come in with you? He asks as he parks. We'll be okay, I tell him. Thank you for helping us. Earl writes his phone number on a scrap of paper. Call if you need anything. My wife and I have a spare room if you need somewhere to stay. Inside the station, a desk officer looks up from her computer, her expression shifting from boredom to concern when she sees Luke's arm. Can I help you? She asks, already standing. We need to report abuse, I say, and my brother needs medical attention. The officer, whose nameplate reads Martinez, calls for her colleague while leading us to chairs. Start from the beginning, she says gently. I take a deep breath and tell her everything. How Ray took us after our mother died, how he isolated us on the farm, made us work from sunrise to sunset, collected government benefits meant for us, and refused to get Luke medical care when he broke his arm. Officer Martinez listens, her expression growing increasingly troubled. When I mention the letters from Aunt Sarah that Ray hid, she interrupts. Sarah Wilkins? Your mother's sister? I nod, surprised. You know her? She's filed multiple reports with us over the past 2 years, trying to locate you two. Said her sister's brother had taken custody but wouldn't let her speak to you. She shakes her head. We did wellness checks, but Ray always had paperwork showing he had legal custody, and you two were never there when we visited. He made us hide in the root cellar whenever anyone came, Luke says weakly. Said we'd be separated and put in foster homes if we were found. I pull out the documents from my backpack, the contract showing Ray paid our mother $50,000, the financial records, the unopened letters from Sarah. We have evidence, I say, placing it all on the desk. Officer Martinez examines the papers, her jaw tightening. This is criminal. Multiple counts of fraud, child endangerment, labor exploitation. Her partner returns with a paramedic who immediately focuses on Luke's arm. The paramedic cuts away our makeshift splint, revealing skin that's now streaked with red lines extending toward Luke's shoulder. This needs immediate attention, he says. I'm calling for transport to County General. Everything moves quickly after that. Luke is taken by ambulance to the hospital. I ride with Officer Martinez, who calls ahead to social services. By the time we arrive, Luke is already being prepped for surgery to clean the infection and properly set his arm. The doctor says he could have lost the arm if we'd waited another day. A social worker named Miss Reeves tells me in the waiting room. I sit in a plastic chair, exhaustion washing over me. What happens now? We've contacted your Aunt Sarah, Miss Reeves says. She's driving here now. But it's a long trip. Until she arrives, you'll be placed in emergency foster care. What about Ray? I ask. He'll come looking for us. The police are already at his property with a warrant. Based on the evidence you provided and your brother's medical condition, they have more than enough to arrest him. I should feel relieved, but all I feel is numb. 3 years of fear and work and isolation, and suddenly it's over. I don't know how to process freedom. Luke's surgery takes 2 hours. When I'm finally allowed to see him, he's pale but smiling, his arm properly casted and an IV pumping antibiotics into his system. We did it, he whispers when I sit beside his bed. We did, I agree, taking his good hand. Aunt Sarah is coming. Really? His eyes light up. How long until she gets here? Tomorrow morning. She's driving all night. That night, I sleep in a chair beside Luke's hospital bed, refusing the social worker's offer of a foster placement. I won't leave my brother, not even for a night. Every time the door opens, I startle awake, half expecting to see Ray standing there, ready to drag us back to the farm. But he doesn't come. Instead, at 6:13 the next morning, a woman with our mother's eyes rushes into the room, her face tear-streaked and hopeful. Sarah? I whisper, standing. She nods, opening her arms, and I fall into them, sobbing like I haven't since our mother died. Luke wakes to the sound, and Sarah moves to embrace him too, careful of his injured arm. I've been looking for you for so long, she says through tears. I knew something was wrong when Ray wouldn't let me talk to you. I've been fighting the system for 2 years. She pulls back, studying our faces. Over the next few days, the full story emerges. Ray is arrested and charged with multiple felonies. The police find even more evidence at the farm. Bank statements showing he's collected over $40,000 in government benefits meant for our care, contracts with local businesses for the produce we harvested, and a journal detailing his arrangement with our mother. Sarah brings documentation proving Ray's guardianship was only meant to be temporary while our mother underwent cancer treatment. There was never any legal agreement for him to keep us permanently. At the preliminary hearing, we learned that Ray approached our mother when she was at her most desperate, offering cash she needed for treatments in exchange for temporary guardianship. He'd planned all along to isolate us and use us for free labor. Your mother thought she was going to recover. Sarah tells us one evening at the hotel where we're staying until Luke is cleared to travel. She never intended for you to stay with Ray permanently. She trusted him because he was her brother. 3 weeks after our escape, Ray is sentenced to 8 years in prison for fraud, child endangerment, and labor exploitation. We don't attend the sentencing. We're already 2 states away, living with Sarah in her comfortable suburban home. Sarah's house has bedrooms for each of us, with real beds and dressers and windows without bars. There are bookshelves filled with books we're allowed to read, a television we can watch, and a computer with internet access. The first time I check my email, I find dozens of messages from friends I knew before the farm, all wondering what happened to me. 5 years later, I'm preparing for college, something I never thought possible during those long days on the farm. Luke is finishing high school, his arm fully healed, though he still has nightmares about the infection and the pain. Sarah has legally adopted us both, though we're nearly adults now. Sometimes I still wake up at dawn, my body conditioned to start work before sunrise. On those mornings, I sit by my window and watch the neighborhood come to life, reminding myself that I'm free, that we escaped, that Ray can never hurt us again. And sometimes, when I'm helping Sarah with her small backyard garden, I remember the endless fields of the farm and the exhaustion that came with them. But here, the work is a choice, not a sentence. Here, we plant flowers alongside vegetables, creating beauty as well as sustenance. Here, we are finally home.